Today we will be discussing statistics. Our topic of the day is how many states has the average college student visited? Our population is overall college students in America. Our sample is the SMT college math class that you're sitting in currently. Our sample size is 21 people. Our data showed that our class of 21 people have traveled to 0, 2, 3, 1, 4, 7, 5, 3, 7, 10, 2, 9, 2, 13, 1, 4, 6, 10, 10, 8, and 3 states. Wow, that's a lot of numbers. The first thing we need to do is put our data in order. And an easy way to do this is on a dot chart. My lowest number is 0 and the highest number is 13. So I can start by creating a number line. This not only makes it easier to put our numbers in order, but it will also give us our first real look at our data. This lesson will be a progressing lesson. You'll be learning things and use them later to find other things. So let's start with the basics. You already know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide positive and negative numbers. That's all you'll need to know for the first step, which is finding the mode, the range, the mean, and the median. We will start with mode because that is something we can see on our dot graph. A mode is the number that occurs the most frequent in a set of numbers. By looking at the graph, you see which numbers there are more of by the height the dots go. In this case, there are 3 modes, 2, 3, and 10. Each of these numbers happen 3 times. The range is the amount between the lowest number on the scale and the highest. This is found by subtracting the lowest number from the highest number. Looking at our dot chart, we can see that 0 is our lowest number and 13 is our greatest. So obviously, our range is 13. The mean is also known as the average. These terms are used interchangeably. In order to find the average, you add up all of the numbers in your set. After you've added the numbers, divide the number you got by the number of numbers you had. Because there are 21 people, you will be dividing by 21. And 5.24, this is a rounded number, is our mean, or our average. The median is the middle value in a set of values. To find the median, you will need to count to the 11th number in the set of numbers in chronological order. The 11th number is 4. There are 10 numbers to the right and 10 numbers to the left of 4. This means the median is 4. Now that we have the median, we also have a beginning to a box and whiskers graph. All we need now are the quartiles. Quartiles sound a lot like quarter for a reason. Just like $1 bill is made up of 4 quarters, our graph is made up of 4 quartiles. Since we already have our sample split into 2 sections, we just have to half those sections, making it into 4 equal sections. Because there are 10 in each section, an even number, our quartiles will be between 2 numbers. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So count 5 from the first number, and there is 2. And the 6th number is 2. There is no in between for 2 and 2, so 2 is the first quartile. 5 numbers back from the last number is 9, and the 6th number is 8. So the third quartile is found in the middle at 8.5. The next thing we're going to do is draw the box and whiskers graph. Start by setting up a line graph. We know our lowest number is 0, and our highest number is 13. I know, what you're seeing here doesn't look like the median, which sounds like middle, but remember how you got the number. This was halfway between the set of numbers, not the middle of the range. Our median is 4. Now we are at the quartiles. That's how to graph a box and whiskers graph. The next chart we are going to use our data for is called a z-score. To find this, we will need the standard deviation and the mean. This is the z-score equation. We already have the mean, and x is our data, but we still need the standard deviation. Before you can find standard deviation, you must first find variation. Variation is the mean minus x to the second power. The definition people know of variance is to differ in size or amount. So to start, we are going to find the difference in amount from the mean, which we found to be 5.24. Once something is squared, it becomes a positive, so you can subtract whatever number first. It is usually easier if you subtract the little number from the large number. For example, the difference between 13 and 5.24 is 7.76. Now that you've found the difference, it's time to square the differences. For this project, we're just going to go ahead and round to the 10th place. From here, the variance is found the same way you would find the mean. Add up the numbers, then divide by the number of numbers. Our total is 269.9, and we are going to divide it by the 21 numbers. The variance is 12.9, rounded to the 10th place. Good job, you found variance. To find standard deviation, you need to find the square root of your variance. The square root is the number that can be multiplied by itself to get the number you took the square root from. For example, the square root of 9 is 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. 3 is multiplied by itself to get 9. So 3 is the square root of 9. And so our standard deviation is going to be 3.6. We are going to use 3.6 as our square root and our standard deviation. Finally, we are going to find our z-score. The z-score formula is x minus mu over standard deviation. Our mean is 5.24 and our standard deviation is 3.6. Because the equation is divided by standard deviation, it can be inferred that the points on the graph are in relation to standard deviation. One standard deviation. If our mean is 5.24 and our standard deviation is 3.6, then any number between 5.24 and 8.84 is found the first standard deviation between 0 and 1. So, for example, 6 minus 5.24 is 0.76. Then we divide that by 3.6. Which becomes 21, which is clearly between 0 and 1. 6 is also between 5.24 and 8.84. See the correlation? Now that you have found your answers through the formula, you can find the z-score by plugging it into the chart. As we covered in decimals and have mentioned a few times throughout this, there is a ones place, tens place, hundredths place, and so on and so forth. This is important because the mentioned places are used in this graph. We will be using the hundredths and the tenths place. So that if there are more than 2 spots to the right of your decimal, you will need to round. The numbers on top of the chart represent the hundredth spot of your answer. The numbers to the left of the chart represent the ones place and the tenths place of your answer. So one of our answers was 0.62. The hundredth spot is 0.02. The negative 0.6 can be found on the left side of the chart. So 0.62's z-score is 0.2676. Whenever we multiply our answers by 100, we can also get our percentage. This is what a regular z-score looks like. The z-score achieved by the formula can be found on this z-graph. 4 decimal point chart gives the percentage for the chart if you multiply by 100. These percentages are Notice that 98.46 came from the x that was 13. 13 was found between the second and third standard deviance markers on the graph. Looking at this chart for the first time, you can see that 2 takes 95% of the data and 3 takes 99.7% of the data. So x, which is 13, should fall between it, which it does at 98.46%.